Well, from the home of Petit Le Mans, we head to the Temple of Speed. It is its time once again for GT4 action on the Apex, this iRacing League, as we welcome you all along to the Autodromo Nazionale Monza in the King's National Park of Monza itself. And welcome along to round 2 of the GT4 season out of 12 weeks. My name's Alex Goldschmidt, joined again once again in the booth by my partner in crime, Mr. Chris Murphy. And after a really exciting season opener just this time last week at Road Atlanta, we had two drivers that ruled the roost in what we know as the Pro Division and also the MFLs, also affectionately known as the Midfield Larrys, as we like to call them here. So welcome everyone to the Racer Nexus broadcasting network, as qualifying very much underway. Before I bring in Mr. Murphy into the booth, let's take you through the standings after the opening round of the season. DJ Alessandrini took the opening win and also with it took pole position in the Pro class. And as things stand, I can't see him on the timing screen tonight. He finished ahead of the two BMWs, the two teammates, Stan Hammonds in the 55 and Brian Lemke in the 041. Austin Diltz tied on points with Brian Zinn, who, thanks to his +4 points that he got for a clean race last time out, are effectively 1 point away from each other. So Zinn and Diltz, 4th and 5th. Roman Bykov, Barker Dine, Mark Miller, Derek Tyndall and Joseph Mayer round out your top 10. Followed by Russell Abraham, Kelly Greenhoe, Spencer Baudouin, Oz Esquilu also had a clean race and moves himself as a result of that up to 14th in the standings ahead of Michael Brock, Jesse Meager, Morgan Smith, Jonathan Cooper and Juan Colmenero rounding out the 19 scorers so far. Moving over to the midfield Larrys, it's Aaron Lara in the 468 that leads the way. Ahead of Kyle Mavis, Dan Corrido rounds out your top 3. Ahead of Daniel Salmon, who got one additional point for only 3 incidents occurring for the 322, the Brit now based out of Nova Scotia these days. Uwe Hale in the 929 rounds out your top 5, ahead of Sean Tita. Richard Savicki the 2nd, Luke Harrigan, John Monsalva, Matthew Brent rounding out your top 10. James Dean, Rob Phelan, Dylan Foster, Philip Poole, Antonio Wood, Mike Bond, Craig Thompson and Greg Brockway round out the drivers that have scored points so far in this season. With that in mind, with 3 minutes and 52 seconds on the timer left to go in this 10-minute qualifying session here at the Autodromo Nazionale Monza, affectionately known as the Temple of Speed, the third oldest purpose-built facility, first after the now defunct Brooklyn circuit in the United Kingdom, and of course the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the Brickyard in Indiana. Chris Murphy, good evening.
Good evening, Alex. Welcome, or sorry to say good morning to you in your part of the world. And
yes, indeed.
I just want to thank you for not making me pronounce the whole track name. I could just say Monza, because you speak it so eloquently, I would stumble like a fool. So happy to be here tonight. This is my first race we've covered at Monza together, so I'm really looking forward to this. This is definitely one of my favorite tracks that I've driven over the years, so it's going to be a lot of fun tonight.
Yeah, so just a quick reminder of the remainder of the calendar. It's December 30th, so we will not really be having a break over the festive period here on Racer Nexus. We head to Watkins Glen next week, then it's Mid-Ohio to kickstart 2026 on January 6th, then it's Spa on January 13th, Sebring January 20th, and the streets of Long Beach on January 27th. February 3rd, we go to Canada, to Mosport, then we go to VIR on February 10th. Laguna Seca WeatherTech Raceway on February 17th. Mount Panorama at Bathurst will be the penultimate round on the calendar on February 24th. And March 3rd sees us head to America's National Park of Speed, Road America. Now, it's going to be a 45-minute long race with a pit stop due to limited fuel. Also, the drivers will have a maximum of 8 scores out of the 12. So 4 drop scores, 4 drop weeks. Setups are fixed, arrive and drive. Fuel is limited, and they have 1 fast repair per race. The only assist that they have is clutch assist. So everyone is going to be at full throttle, flat chat around this circuit here, Chris, which measures 3.6 miles in length, 11 turns, 4 to the left, 7 to the right. I'll leave you with the corner numbers. I'll deal with the corner names. here tonight. But we're seeing Michael Brock going top of the timesheets in the 4:21. Now, he had a race to forget now because he was in a Porsche last time around, but he's switched to the BMW M4 GT4. Brian Sin, currently P2. Derek Tyndall, Oz Esquilu doing a really good job in the 911 Mercedes, but Kyle Mavis in the 64 Ford Mustang heading up the midfield Larry's, currently running P5. Very, very strong at the moment is Kyle Mavis in the 64.
Yeah, Mavis looks really good out there. You know, you went through the standings really. DJ Alessandro and Stan Lemons, neither top two in the Pro Series aren't here tonight, so we're going to definitely see a point change there. Brian Lemke is here, but don't see Brian too far up the timing charts right now.
Yeah,
interesting qualifying.
Looks like looks like we're going to have more than 30 cars here at Monza, and that's going to be a lot of real estate. I had the opportunity of going to the circuit actually twice this year, once for actual commentary duty for Porsche Sports Cup Suisse, which I'm going to be back with this season. So I'm looking forward to going there. I think it's early May in 2026. But again, this circuit, you know, it demands a lot of respect. We're coming into the final 15 seconds. There's a lot of drivers trying to get through as best they can. There's Kent Kruger in the 039 BMW. He's got the 464. That's Andrew McMurray from the midfield Larry's, who's currently sitting 23rd overall. And you're going to see that coming down out of Ascari into Curva Alboreto, formerly known as the Parabolica, but named after a man who raced for Ferrari in Formula One and also raced as part of the Audi Sport LMP program. Michele Alboreto unfortunately lost his life over a decade ago in a testing accident for the latter, and he has been posthumously remembered by that as we get to the check-in here in the qualifying session. Brian Lemke, well, look at that, it's a top three BMW lockout. We've got Brian Lemke, Michael Brock and Kent Kruger in the real thick of things, and those two, I mean, Brian Lemke with an absolutely outstanding lap time, 1:55.781 in the 0:41, ahead of Brock, and then Kruger rounding out your top three. Kyle Mavis doing a sterling job in the 64 Mustang is going to be the best of the midfield Larry's. Also with that, we've got Zachary Rubin, who's going to be the next up of the midfield Larry's. So for those wondering, the pros are designated by the green numbers on the timing tower. As Joseph Mayer jumps up the timesheets and puts his Ford Mustang, the 000, up to, what is that, 11th overall, but more to the point, that's 8th in the Pro Division. But a lot of drivers have switched cars. Now, there is nothing in the regulations to say that changing cars is going to hit you with a penalty. There are, like, say, for instance, if you had a spec series where you said to drivers, okay, if there is a Week 13 update on iRacing and there's a new car that comes out, okay, we're not going to hold it against you. But in normal terms, if you were in the, let's say, the GT4 European Series powered by Rafa Racing, you are in the same car the whole time of the series. So I think one of this, it allows a little bit of flexibility for the drivers, doesn't it, Chris?
Yeah, it really does. You know, most series we do, you're kind of forced to, if you pick a big car at the beginning of the season, that's what you're forced to run all year. But they allow them to jump back and forth, so that lets the drivers do some practice laps before they get into the race week and get in there and see which car is working better for each track. So I think we're going to see this all year long. We're going to see all these drivers jumping back and forth. But we see Lemke stayed with the BMW, and that's going to put him on the pole. You know, he first lap around, he was about 7th or 8th, so he made a great second lap right there to get the top spot here in qualifying.
Yeah, it could be hitting speeds of around 160 miles an hour of top whack. Matt Bond, Troy Banks, Dylan Foster, and Kevin Zhu, the last four out of the 34 drivers that were due to take part in qualifying, not setting lap time. Dylan Foster in the 818 McLaren did go around the 3.6 mile circuit twice, but both laps were invalidated due to track limits. So it is going to be a pole position for Brian Lemke. Kyle Mavis is going to take his second pole position in a row in the midfield Larry's, so that's going to be really helpful to him in that respect. But we will have the drivers starting to ready up here at Monza for the 45-minute race. Of course, fuel limitation will dictate how things are going. Now, if you all might remember, 7 days ago, track temperature at Road Atlanta was 122 degrees Fahrenheit, which was 50 degrees centigrade. Here at Monza, it's a little bit cloudy with a bit of blue sky up above, 64.4 degrees air temperature, and a balmy 71.6 degrees Fahrenheit track temperature, which is around about 20 to 22 degrees Celsius. Those are perfect conditions for racing here, Chris, tonight.
Yeah, much cooler conditions than we saw last week in Atlanta. But if you've been to Georgia, it's miserable in the south anyway. So I'd rather be here in Italy where it's a little bit cooler. But it should really help the drivers get a little more traction. The track's going to stay a little bit cooler. Tires should stay underneath them a little bit longer. But definitely with much better conditions than we saw last week.
So let's take you through the starting order for round 2 of Apex, this iRacing League GT4 Tuesdays. It's going to be Brian Lemke and Michael Brock on the front row, all BMW lockout. And then on row 2, we've got Kent Kruger versus the Mustang of Kyle Mavis, who's going to lead the midfield Larrys from P4 on the grid. Brian Zinn and Derek Tyndall round out your third row on the grid. Rounding out row number 4 will be Oz Esquilu and Zachary Rubin, another one that we're seeing punching above his weight. Then it's going to be Jesse Meager and Sean Teeter rounding out your overall top 10. Joseph Mayer and Kelly Greenhoe rounding out row 6. Row 7, it's going to be the BMW of Roman Bykov and the Mercedes of Canada's Spencer Bourdois. Then we've got John Cooper and Russell Abraham. They round out row 8 on the starting grid. Matthew Brent and Andrew McMurray will round out row 9. Rounding out the top 20 will be Chris Diaz and Dan Carrido. Sean Guru and Craig Thompson will be rounding out row number 11. And then it will be Austin Diltz and Uwe Hale that will round out row number 13 on the grid. So Mercedes versus BMW. Next up, it's going to be Luke Harrigan and James E. Dean on row number 13. Row 14, Rob Phelan and Conor Menard. Then we get to the bottom part of the top 30. Harrison Mealy and Ryan Ryder, both in good old Detroit muscle power, courtesy of the Mustangs. Dylan Foster and Matt Bond will start on row number 16. Kevin Zhu and Troy Banks due to start on the final row of the grid, but they haven't taken to the start. And it is going to be the case of now as they head from out of Variante Ascari, which is effectively turns 9 and 10 on the circuit. We'll be heading into Curva Alboreto. So DJ Alessandrini not here this week. Neither is midfield Larry's leader, Aaron Lahr. So Kyle Mavis and Brian Lemke have an opportunity to shout themselves to the top of the tables as the pace car pulls into pit road here as we are ready to go green at the Temple of Speed. The one, the only Autodromo Nazionale Monza.
Green.
And it's now the lights, we go to green, and it's pedal to the metal on the way down to the Rettifigo, turns 1 and 2. And Lemke gets the whole shot. Kyle Mavis gets through on Ken Kruger to get the Mustang up into P3 already, as it's going to be hard on the brakes down into first gear for the Rettifigo. Mind out for those curbs, and they're going to be very, very careful. And in this early stage here at Monza, the drivers will be at full throttle for the best part of over 75% of this lap, and more's the point, it looks like there's a battle between two cars, one of which being Kent Kruger, the other one being Derek Tyndall. They're battling for third in the Pro Division, fourth overall, as Lemke leads Brock into the Della Roggia chicane. Over the curb goes the number 041 Sky Lounge Motorsports entry. Derek Tyndall's got to serve his slowdown penalty rather quickly. Behind Kent Kruger, Brian Zinn, Zachary Rubin. And, well, we've got 3 of the midfield Larrys in the top 10, courtesy of Sean Teeter, who is the second highest placed Mustang in the midfield Larrys at the moment. He is currently running P9 overall, but Derek Tyndall has now got to be very, very careful as Brian Zinn gets through on him. Tyndall's got to serve that penalty, otherwise it becomes a black flag as they head down underneath the bridge in towards Ascari. And Lemke at the moment has got the measure of Brock, Mavis, Kruger, Zinn, Rubin. Tyndall's now served his penalty. And he's got Oz Esquilo right behind him in the 911 Mercedes-Benz as they come hurtling at high speed out of Ascari. Everyone seems to have done pretty well at this early point on this opening tour of this circuit. It has been open since September of 1922 and has a big amount of history behind it. But it looks like someone's going to dive to the inside. That is going to be Roman Bykov on Joseph Mayer. That's BMW. But all this drama, and that's Tyndall. And Bykov's gone right into the side of him. And Mayer's just gone into the barriers. It has caused absolute pandemonium at the back end of it. Matthew Prince involved, Harrison Mealy, Jesse Meager and Derek Tyndall already diving into pit lane. And look at the side of Tyndall's right-hand part of that BMW. It is an absolute mess. He can't even turn it right.
I'll see if we can go back and find this here to see what happened. My timing and scoring is a little buggy tonight, so I'm having a hard time going back and finding the replay. But unfortunate event right there for Tyndall. He looked to have a good run. And as that was going on, it looks like Brock was able to get around Lemke for the lead. So while we're looking at that, I'm going to go back and see if I can find this incident here. Let's see here.
Yep, so, yeah, and whilst you're doing that, Derek Tyndall, Dan Corrido, Jesse Meager, Matthew Brent, Sean Teeter and Luke Harrigan all went into the pits. And Tyndall managing to effect a fast repair, got that BMW back out onto the circuit. But you can see when the 042 from the Pro Division came in. But meantime, Michael Brock now leading and is pulling away from Brian Lemke. Lemke's set the fastest lap of the race at 1:59.274. I did say before we went live, Chris, that there was going to be madness at Monza and we had it coming into the 11th and final corner at the circuit. But Michael Brock has decided, right, okay, now I've got a bit of a lead. Okay, he's going to be punching a hole in that dirty air in front of him and allowing Brian Lemke possibly to close in on that gap. But you have to factor in that Kyle Mavis is absolutely looking very, very strong in that Mustang that is still running P3 at the moment. Looks like Harrison Mealy on the #1 car has got no front bumper on that Mustang, so that's going to be understeering like an absolute pig. Yeah, there you go. There's no headlights, there's no front grille, there's no front bumper, there's no front splitter. So Harrison Mealy has got a Mustang that's going to want to turn left all the time rather than turning in both directions.
Yeah, the front tires look like they're towed out a little bit as well, so he's actually still making some pretty good laps around here, sitting back here in 20th, but he has definitely tore up that Mustang. Must have got involved in that earlier incident.
Yeah, and meantime, well, it is a three-way battle. And you can see that Brock's still leading the way as they go through into Curva Grande here at turn number 3. They're going to be on the accelerator and full throttle all the way through up towards the braking zone for turns 4 and 5. That's the left-right chicane at De La Roggia. And Kyle Mavis is within striking distance of getting through on Brian Lemke. There is the recovering Roman Bykov, who is closing in on Spencer Bourdois at the moment. So Andrew McMurray in the 464 in the midfield Larry's. He's now running P3 in the class and is running a credible 13th overall, as Roman Bykov still trying to close in on the 010 as Spencer Bourdois, the man from Canada, who's got his countryman John Cooper just in front. So the two Canadians rounding out the top 10. There's Matthew Brent in the well, that's a very bright livery for a BMW, if I do say so myself. You can't exactly miss that if you send to Google Maps. Concentrate on Apex this iRacing League at Monza, and you'll probably have Matthew Brent's car livery shown going through into De La Roggia very shortly. But Roman Bykov has managed to make the move on Spencer Bourdois, gets through on the Canadian in the 010 Mercedes-Benz AMG GT4. Kent Kruger has got Brian Zinn on his rear going into Alboreto as Brian Lemke trying to close that gap onto Michael Brock, but still early days here.
Yeah, look, top 6 are all nose to tail. You know, last week we saw DJ kind of pull away from this field, but it looks like this week's going to be a completely different story, as the top 5 or 6 are only separated by about less than 2 seconds. So we might have a really good racer. We're already 7-8 minutes into this race, 38 minutes left to go, but Brock with a good lead here, but he has Lemke filling up his mirror.
Yeah, I think, well, Oz Esquilo or Zachary Rubin's just got a slowdown penalty, so he's going to have to slow that down, serve it quite quickly. We're going to have a look here. Zach Rubin in the number 33 Porsche Cayman. Now, this is on the run down the start-finish stretch. This might give us an indication of where he went off track, because Escalou has got through on him. Escalou has got the fastest lap of the race, a 1:56.129, and he went straight on. That's where Zach Rubin picked up the slowdown penalty, avoids all the sausage curves through the Rettifilio chicane, manages to rejoin on the circuit. Roman Baikov's just got a slowdown and has just served it. So, and one of the big things here, because you're pushing 10 tenths, maybe slightly more than that here, Chris, is that there's going to be a lot of gravel being kicked up onto the circuit.
Yeah, a lot of gravel. Last week we didn't see a lot of the gravel, a lot of grass and pavement on the outside of Road Atlanta, but definitely here, kind of an old school course, gravel pretty close to the edges of the track, so you can see it all over the racetrack. Now, I don't know what kind of effect that's going to have on the tires here in iRacing, but if it was in real life, that would definitely have an effect. It's going to make the car loose driving on top of the gravel, and it could potentially do a little damage to the rubber as well.
Yeah, good to see you on YouTube channel again, Perfect Jen, saying that was a Mario Kart shortcut. Talking about Zach Rubin's shortcutting of the Rettifilio chicane, as Joseph Mayer's front and rear end of that Ford Mustang needs a bit of TLC at the moment. It's been a bit readjusted as to the inside into Alboreto goes Roman Baikov. He's been battling away with Spencer Baudouin, the man from Canada. Russell Abrams coming into this along with Andy McMurray and Chris Diaz. So this is a 5-car squabble, a quintet coming out of Alboreto over P10 overall. And let's see, this is going to be a real good opportunity for McMurray and Diaz to close on in. You can see by the camera here as they come flying through with a big rate of speed at about 150 plus miles an hour. Hard on the brakes, down the gearbox into first gear. Short shift up to second. I think Roman Baikov, just did exactly what Zach Rubin did. And then we've got dramas for Sean Garou and I think, Joe Mayer. So Mayer's picked up a penalty. Slowdown penalty. So has Roman Baikov, so has Garou. So is Rob Phelan in the number 90 McLaren, as we run on board quickly with the 244 Conor Menard. Austin Diltz there, battling away with the likes of Joe Mayer, Craig Thompson, Ryan Ryder, Sean Garou at the back of that train. But still with, looks like Luke Harrigan is the first retiree out on lap number 2, as we are 9 minutes into this 45-minute race. And there's talk of Mario Kart here, considering we're in Monza. Oh no, Austin Diltz hard into the barriers. And that is going to scatter the cars left, right and centre. And Joseph Mayer has just got a black flag. I don't think he served his slowdown penalty in time.
You said Mario Kart. I'm thinking maybe you slipped on a banana here.
No, well, no, they were talking about green and red shells in chat, but Austin Diltz definitely got the banana skin here. No invincibility star, I'm afraid. And the 217 Sapphire Simsport Alpha car. Some
great evasive maneuvers right there behind him as well, and not get involved in that.
Yeah, well done, Sean Garou, for keeping out of that one. Exit stage left, but yeah, Joseph Mayer has got a black flag penalty. He's got to serve very, very quickly. Dan Carrido's been in the pits due to a mechanical black flag, so obviously he's picked up damage. And well, meantime, this is the battle between that's Oz Esquilu and Zach Rubin. Now this is a battle for position, not necessarily in class, but overall. This is for 6th place, so Joe Mayer now serves his pit lane penalty. Whether that's going to stop him on his marks, I'm afraid. So that's a 35 second penalty for him on that one. So Joseph Mayer's going to have to go through pit road a little bit later on in the race. But one of the big things about this circuit here at Monza, it has to be respected. And Austin Diltz, coming out of the second Lesmo, found out how hard the track bites back when you get a wheel into the gravel and it kicks the tail out the wrong way. Spencer Baudouin picks up a track limit penalty and has got to serve a slowdown. He's currently sitting in 10th position overall. And at the moment, still I have to say that Brian Zinn going wheel to wheel out of Seraglio is to the outside, heading into Ascari on Kent Kruger. And Brian Zinn, is he going to nose ahead? No, he's not. And Kyle Mavis is waiting the wings to pick up the pieces. But this is a great battle between Kruger and Zinn for P3 overall. Kyle Mavis, who in free practice before we went qualifying was actually the second quickest car on the circuit. and is still within 4.5 tenths of a second of this battle as Kruger to the inside, but Zinn to the outside at Alboreto. That is brave, but Kruger's going to get the inside line and get the whole shot here. But look, Zinn goes for the crisscross. That's very, very good strategic driving. Goes into the wheel tracks of the BMW. But they've got to watch out for Kyle Mavis. He's got a double toe from both cars in front of him. Now, will the Mustang possibly make it 3 wide? Maybe not at this point, but Brian Zinn has got the inside line into the Rettofilio chicane. Here it turns 1 and 2. But late on the brakes goes Kent Kruger and keeps the place for the moment. Bumps over the sausage curves, but out of that second corner, Brian Zinn gets the traction. Then when Kruger locks up the rear tyres with the traction coming out of turn 2, that gives him the opportunity through 3. And here comes Kyle Mavis in the Mustang with a head of speed. He might get the run on Brian Zinn on the run down to Della Roggia.
Great battle going on here for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Kruger's in, and Mavis. Right now, it looks like Kruger's got the advantage in that BMW. He's got that Porsche and that Ford Mustang all over the back of him right now. This is a great race for the 3 cars battling it out right here. Kruger looks to be a little bit stronger overall, but look out for Zinn. Zinn's got some good pace on him right there, and he has gotten up alongside a couple of times. This is going to be exciting here for the rest of this race. We see what happens in the pit stop, so maybe this shakes it up just a little bit.
Yeah, looks like we're down to 29 drivers. I'm afraid Dan Carrido and Austin Diltz are out. Diltz, I'm not at all surprised after the big amount of damage that Mercedes suffered coming out of Lesmo number 2. And Double Apex Gaming saying Kent Kruger in P3. Guess you can keep teach an old dog new tricks. Well, he's keeping his elbows out with the standing knives sharpened alongside them as Andrew McMurray, who's currently running P12 overall, but more to the point, he's running still P3 in the midfield Larry's division. So good showing by him at the moment. So Kyle Mavis leads that division ahead of Zachary Rubin. The gap between the top 2 in that division are 2.5 seconds apart as we ride on board rear bumper cam with the 039 of Big Doug Racing's Kent Kruger. And look at the speed from Brian Zinn. The closing rate by the 718 Cayman GT4 Club Sport from the Maximum Effect Motorsports number 82, getting very close to sticking his nose up the inside through into the first part of the Rettofilio. But the Porsche holds its line, discretion being the better part of valor. We're nearly a third of the way through this 45-minute encounter, and Brian Zinn is looking at every which way but loose. If you want to remark the work of the iconic actor, Mr. Clint Eastwood. But then we got Ryan Ryder doing a pretty good job. He's keeping Craig Thompson, the Zimbabwean driver, very, very honest in the 00 car.
I definitely did not have a Clint Eastwood reference everywhere but loose on the bingo card tonight. But we look at Kruger and Zinn side by side one more time. Zinn's got a good run on the bottom. I think he's going to clear Kruger. He does for that 3rd position.
Yeah, that was a clean move. Very, very clean move. Yeah, my film trivia from the 1970s and 80s might start rearing its ugly head tonight, and it already has now that I mentioned Clint Eastwood. Well, oh dear, we could be on a slippery slope from here, folks.
Yeah, right turn, Clyde.
Yeah, yeah. And I still remember the name of the character that Clint Eastwood played as well, Philo Beddoe.
Philo Beddoe, yep. Wow, you were surprised. Every week you surprised me with something, my friend.
Well, I was brought up on a lot of old school, like when I was a kid, even though I was a kid of the 80s, I was still brought up with, like Smokey and the Bandit, Dukes of Hazzard, all those kind of, shows that everyone watched in our age, in the age group that I was in when I was a kid. But look at this, Andrew McMurray to the outside as well, Spencer Beaudoin had to serve his slow-down penalty, so that's why he kept to the right-hand side of the circuit. So McMurray and Bykov going round the outside of the final corner, which means that the Canadian can come back at them, and the Mercedes having a little bit of the straight-line speed advantage over the BMW. He's going to pull to the inside of Roman Bykov down into the Rettofilio chicane as we are into...
I thought he had
we're into the second third of this race.
Yeah, I thought he had a good run there. I'm surprised he backed out.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean the thing was that Spencer had to serve his slowdown penalty, and he needed to do that quickly, and that's why we saw Joe Mayer, who, dropped the ball. I think, unfortunately, because sometimes one of the things that you'll do as a racing driver, and you'll know this as well, Chris, is that the one thing that you're not always concentrating on is your slow down penalty. If you get one and you've got a battle of a car in front of you and 3 behind you, what's the thing you're going to concentrate on most? Okay, how can I defend with the 3 cars behind me closing in on my back bumper?
Yeah,
and sometimes things get missed, don't they?
Yeah, what you're trying to do there is serve it and not lose any positions, but unfortunately, Spencer ended up losing a couple of spots there. For me, I usually don't even pay attention to him. I just keep going and just take a penalty because I'm probably going to drive off the track anyway. So,
well, at least you're honest. That's the main thing.
I made a couple of laps around here last night, and as much as I love racing here at Monza, I haven't ran it in a long time. And wow, it was. Let's just say I'm glad I didn't save the replay from it because it was not very pretty.
Yeah, I mean that's why. Well, I mean when people say to me, "Oh, can you drive a sim?" Yes. Do you have one? No. Which is why I'm on the microphone. So that's.
Oh, nice.
At the end of the day. But I mean, look. You saw there, Spencer Beaudoin looking to stick his nose up the inside of Andy McMurray there, going through into turn 11, and it's one of those things that you just see as we now reconcentrate on our efforts on Michael Brock versus Brian Lemke, the 2 BMWs. Battling away, and they've dropped Brian Zinn like a bad habit, and Brian Zinn now 5.2 seconds away, and these BMWs have been hitting north of just over 160 miles an hour here at Monza through the speed trap. So the good thing is that Michael Brock just keeping a calm head on cool shoulders. Meantime, Kyle Mavis trying to battle away with Kent Kruger. He's got Zach Rubin and Ozascula not too far behind. Mavis kicks up Rubin kicks up the dust coming out of Della Roggia as they're going through the Lesmos now. And this is one of the places where you don't want to do what Austin Diltz did on lap number 4, which is go too wide on the AstroTurf, and then the left rear tyre loses all traction when you try and boot the throttle, get the traction down, and the left rear wheel is what turns your car around. And there's no input from your steering, and you're a passenger, and you pinball off the side of the road. And he was very, very lucky he didn't get collected. But the battle that we're seeing here, Zach Rubin taking more track than anybody, more curbing than anybody else, and still keeping ahead of Kent Kruger. We're right on board with Zach Rubin, who is not that far behind Kyle Mavis. About 0.7 of a second is the gap between the 64 and the 33. Now, this, importantly, is for the midfield Larry's class lead. And when you think about it, there are some drivers who might be under, I wouldn't say under scrutiny, but under observation in terms of if they get promoted, it will be at the end of this season that it will happen, because we are running non-stop. I mean, even though yes, we've got everyone in a couple of days' time will be enjoying the holidays, enjoying Christmas Day with their family, then we're straight back at it. Rob Phelan's just got a black flag, so we'll have to serve either a stop and hold or a drive-through penalty. More than likely, I would say it's probably based on incident points by the iRacing server. But still, this battle here, you've got Abraham, Bykov, McMurray, Beaudoin. They are covered by about 1.2 seconds. And it's a kind of the case of the unstoppable force versus the immovable object. Roman Bykov could throw it up the inside of Russell Abraham, but Abraham might decide to defend, and Bykov might not get an opportunity to go through as Rob Phelan now dives into pit road and serves his black flag penalty.
Yeah, unfortunate right there. We were looking at that battle up there, up here with Zinn, Kruger, Mavis, and now they've got Rubin and Axilo. I got that one close. Into the back of this battle, and that's allowed. These guys swapping positions back and forth over the last few laps has really let Brock and Lemke get away here. I thought we were going to have a good 5-car battle for the lead, but it is down to 2 now, as we've now got a 5-car battle for second.
Yeah. And also with the amount of velocity that drivers will be carrying out of the final corner as Kyle Mavis to the outside noses ahead of Kent Kruger out of the run from Ascari. He's going to get the opportunity to get through. He might have the Apex 4, Alboreto, and the Mustang makes it round the outside of Munich's finest. And here comes Zach Rubin in the Porsche with a head of speed coming round out of the final corner. As, oh, well, Ken Kruger at the 23.5-minute mark decides to become the first of our drivers that has decided to pit at this point. I did notice that Derek Tyndall has actually is starting to try and make a little bit of a comeback track to BMW that have gone absolutely T-boned and a half earlier on in the race. And he is now up to 21st overall in the running order of things. That is going to change depending. Now Craig Thompson has come in, so has Conor Menard in the 00 and the 244 Mercedes and Mustang respectively. So Derek Tyndall might have an opportunity to serendipitously climb his way up the order as a few more coming in. Harrison Mealy, James E. Dean in the Porsche now head into pit road. So there is going to be, oh, and Harrison Mealy's just got a black flag for speeding coming into pit lane. So that is going to be a 35. That is going to be an additional 35 seconds on top of probably what would have been about a 22-second pit stop. So Harrison Mealy will be kicking himself about that one. Meantime, we've got this battle with the likes of Bykov up the inside now of Abram. Baudouin's going to look to the inside, whereas Andrew Murray is pit box to the outside through out of the second Lesmo. So Baudouin gets through on the 484. Bykov gets through on the 464. And Russell Abram in the 046 now loses a position to the 013 of Roman Bykov. So Harrison Mealy, oh dear, this is going to be an agonising wait for him. As Derek Tyndall's just had a slight off-track moment, but it's like the black flag penalty of pain, I'm afraid, as he's just spent over 60 seconds in his pit box. And as I say that, Brock, Lemke, Zinn, Mavis, Rubin, Escalou, Greenhoe, Cooper, all are in the pits. That's our top 8. And if people are wondering, why is the Mustang flashing its headlights coming in? Well, on GT4s, and it's actually part of the regulations for these cars, they've got to have lights flashing in to indicate that the car is travelling down pit lane. Harrison Mealy, 1 minute, 16.6 seconds in pit lane. So that has caused insult to injury for the number 1 Mustang, I'm afraid, who's finding himself all the way down in 28th position and is the last driver. We've also had Chris Diaz retire from the race in the 213 Mercedes, so that's a real shame for Chris. Started 19th on the grid as Brian Lemke's just got a slowdown penalty straight away within seconds of coming out of pit lane, so he's going to serve that now, I would hope, going through into Curva Grande. So Michael Brock this time having a very, very good pit stop on this occasion. Brian Lemke now serves his slowdown penalty, which has given Michael Brock a lead of 3.5 seconds. With 20 minutes to go, it's a sprint to the finish here, Chris, as looks like we're getting a bit more sunshine here at Monza, but the track temperature has dropped 69.8 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, cooler temperatures are going to make that engine run just a little bit better and a little bit better grip on those tires. But just a reminder, I'm Chris Murphy with Alex Goldschmidt here with Racer Nexus. Hey, make sure you check out, if you're looking for some gear, look at Apex Sim Racing. Use the code Racer Nexus for a 5% discount. Apex Sim Racing. I purchased a couple things there the other day. Good stuff. We also want to plug Race Cams for Gourmet, Race Cams 22, supplying us all the camera angles and stuff you're seeing here tonight. So appreciate all their help as well. Or Track Cams for Gourmets.
Yeah, trackcams22.com. Head to their website for further information. Also, please don't forget, if you are watching along on the Racer Nexus YouTube channel, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Plenty of racing action. Even in between the Christmas and New Year. I mean, we'll be back here on December 30th. Well, it'll be effectively early morning of New Year's Eve for me for round 3 out of 12. Perfect Jenna said, "Oh man, do you guys sell shirts?" And I was like, "I don't know. I'm not a clothing salesperson, Jen, I'm afraid." But no, the thing is we always have to give a shout out to those companies that do provide us with the provide things for you people out there. It's always nice to give something a little bit back, pay it forward, if you will. But still, Brian Zinn is having a fight on his hands because Kyle Mavis, in this particular occasion, was 1/10 quicker in the pit lane than Kent Kruger, and now Kent Kruger is finding that Zach Rubin's all over his rear bumper, as we see here. Craig Thompson battling away with Ryan Ryder. This is for 14th overall. I think Jesse Meagher's just got into the pit lane, as has the Mustang of Sean Teeter in the 117. And yeah, I'm sure, Jen, that if Apex Sim Racing Shop decide to sell T-shirts, I'm sure you can get a nice little 5% discount off from them there. Oz Esquilu and Sean Guru have just picked up slowdown penalties, and one of the things about this circuit here, Chris, you are on the edge of a precipice when it comes to combination of speed, but also that little balance of handling, because with these cars, okay, yeah, being fixed setup, there's only minimal adjustments that you can make, mainly being that of tyre pressures. You want as much grip as possible around here at Monza, but you also want to not have to compromise that straight line speed.
Now you're flat out on this racetrack so much more than a lot of the other tracks that we're going to see throughout the season here at Monza. As we look at Kelly Greenhill looking to the outside of Oz right there, and he is going to make this move. Nice move there from Kelly to move up to the 7th spot. But as I was saying, you're carrying a lot of speed here at Monza, but there is a couple spots where you really got to get on the brakes hard, and you got to get into the corner, and it is just so tough because you just want to keep pushing as hard as you can on this racetrack. But it's a lot of balance here, just a lot of balance making your way around Monza cleanly as we watch Kelly Greenhill once again move up into 7th.
Yeah, and that is 5th overall in the Pro Division, so it is a battle for P5 in the Pros. Meantime, we have got still Brian Zinn leading the way in this this quartet battle, because Oz Esquilu has, through that slowdown penalty for exceeding track limits, has cost himself a big amount of time and has lost the position as a direct correlation. Andrew McMurray now picks up a slowdown penalty. There's Spencer Boudoir from...
he's giving us a rock out sign, right? Is that what that is?
I know. I think he's trying to channel his inner Travis Pastrana from Nitro Circus on that one. But I think, it's really, really good to see that, we have such a different range of people from all walks of life in the world of sim racing. And the good thing is that from what we saw at Road Atlanta last week and what we're seeing here at Monza is we're seeing some really, really good competitive and very sporting racing here as well, more to the point that people are given enough racing room. Of course, there are moments when it doesn't always go that way, as you can see that Kyle Mavis using the sausage curves on the exit, as did Brian Zinn coming out of Ascari. So we're heading into the final quarter, or the final 15 minutes of this race, so nearly heading effectively to two strikes, and it's down to the bottom of the 9th as Ryan Ryder is now behind Craig Thompson as the Mercedes looks to the inside into Ascari. Ryan Ryder with a big head of steam in the Mustang gets through, loving that blue oval livery on that Ford Mustang. Of course, Ford based out of Detroit, Michigan. Biggest plant I think for Ford these days is at Dearborn, just outside of Michigan. Of course, Ford having a lot of development in terms of race cars. I mean, I worked for Ford Motor Company a while back, and nearly got the opportunity to go to one of their testing areas at Brentwood in Essex, as Spencer Boudoir right up the inside, hard on the brakes goes the Mercedes on the 046 of Russell Abraham in the BMW M4. So another one of the Sky Lounge Motorsport cars losing out of position. But here comes Craig Thompson with a big head of steam. Who's going to be latest on the brakes? Is it going to be Ryder? Is it going to be Thompson? Ryder to the outside, through into turn 1. He's got the inside line, and the Mercedes gets the better traction around the outside. And this could mean that Thompson is going to get the inside line here for turn 3 at Curva Grande. The Mercedes makes its way through on the Mustang. Great battle here for these two, battling over the final spot on the midfield Larry's rostrum.
Yeah, great battle right there to that first chicane. Thompson got along the inside there and switched over to be the outside. Here comes Ryder back on the inside right now. But Ryder, and what that has to do is Thompson kind of had Ryder pinched down on the bottom in that second part of the chicane. He had to really be hard on the brakes. And here comes Ryder with another nice move around the outside of Thompson to get that spot back. So great battle here going on for mid-pack here, about 14th or 15th place right now.
Meantime, there has been a big old change because Zach Rubin now leads the midfield Larrys, and he's up to P4. So Kent Kruger has also got through on the man who has been leading the midfield Larrys for the majority of this race, Kyle Mavis, in the number 64 Ford Mustang, now finds himself down into 6th position. But more importantly, he's P2 in the midfield Larrys at this point. Now, looking at the what we saw from last time, Zach Rubin, this is his debut in the series on this second round, and it's already looking to make a significant impact. Meantime, Spencer Baudouin has got Russell Abraham closing in on the rear of his Mercedes-Benz as they come down the main start-finish straight across the stripe they go. Will Abraham stick it to the inside into the Rettifidio? The Mercedes is going to go late on the brakes into turn 1. The BMW holds its station. So the Sky Lounge Motorsport number 046 holds on at the moment for what is P9. Now, what has happened to Roman Bykov? Has there been... Oh, well, his ping has just caused a little bit of a problem there. So Roman Bykov better watch his ping, because otherwise that's going to cause troubles for not just him, but for quite a few other people on the circuit, especially if he's got someone chasing him down. Meantime, here's Matt Bond. Dylan Foster has just got a black flag in the 818 McLaren. So let's just have a look. This is going to be for an extreme track cut. Let's have a look here. Oh, backwards. And Dylan Foster, he's going to hit the wall with the front end of the car. That was through Ascari of all places. And Dylan Foster has done the return to garage. So unfortunately, Dylan's going to be held there for quite a time, especially with that black flag penalty that he's got as well. So 11.5 minutes to go, and the battle for the class victory in the midfield Larrys continues at pace between Zach Rubin and Kyle Mavis, both 4th and 6th respectively overall. Kelly Greenhoe has lost that place back to Oz Esquilu in the Mercedes-Benz. Meantime, fastest lap of the race, we have got someone that's dipped underneath the 156s. It's Michael Brock, the race leader, 155.957, and he is climbing away from Brian Lemke. And Lemke at the moment, who was possibly going to have that second place in the bag last time around, well, at this rate, Michael Brock is going to catapult himself right up the order, so to speak, and more to the point, with the fact that we haven't got Stan Hammonds, neither Stan Hammonds nor DJ Alessandrini here for this second round of the season. Effectively, Michael Brock will be catapulted to 26 points, and it will put him in the top 10 quite easily. Where in the top 10, that's going to be a difficult one to say, because Brian Lemke at this point, if he takes second, that's going to put him on a total of 35 points. Michael Brock will go up to 26. Now, Brian Lemke also, if I remember correctly, took pole position, didn't he? So that will give him an additional points. That will put him on 36 points as well. So at that kind of thing, you've got to understand, as Joseph Mayer, oh dear, now Joseph has come in and I think has served his last pit stop with just under 10 minutes to go, but Oz Esquilu and Kelly Greenhoe is the closest battle that we've got. We've got Spencer Baudouin versus Russell Abraham. As we've got a look on board, this is Roman Bykov. Now, this is going into Lesmo number 2. Touches 2 wheels on the grass. What happens to the BMW? Hits the curbing. Is that going to run wide? Yes, it is. Into the gravel. It spits the car to the right. And Roman Bykov was lucky he didn't suffer the same fate as Austin Diltz. And now Brian Zinn is being hounded by fellow Porsche driver and midfield Larry's class leader, Zach Rubin. Zach Rubin in the 33 doing a wicked job here at Monza here tonight, Chris.
Yeah, Zach really charging through the field right here. Started in 8th, and he's kind of been hanging around about 7th, 8th most of the race, but just in the last few laps, he's made his way around Mavis Kruger. Now looking to get around Zinn to get in that overall 3rd position, but this is turning going to be, like we said earlier, it's going to be an exciting race for this 3rd, 4th, and 5th. But I'm looking up at the YouTube chat, and a little bit ago, I see Perfect Jen there telling Michael, don't screw this up. So appreciate your participation there in the chat and being here with us tonight. This is our 2nd week here with Apex, and we are just really I'm really enjoying the hell out of this series. I'm not going to put words in your mouth there, Alex, but I would have to guess that you're probably enjoying it as much as I am.
To be honest with you, you tell me about. I mean, the thing is, I commentate on GT4 cars anyway through Porsche Sports Cup Suisse. So when I got the opportunity, got the call for this, I was like, okay, yeah, I love a bit of GT4, love GT3, I love any kind of sports car. You know, it's got 4 wheels, it's got an engine, it's got a steering wheel, an accelerator, and a brake pedal. Let's go racing, guys and girls. You know, that's. And the thing is that with the fact of how many different manufacturers there are in GT4s, where you've got some of the big, not just motorsport, but automotive brands, when you've got Ford, you've got BMW, you've got Porsche, you've got Mercedes, you've got McLaren, you've got Aston Martin. There are so many different brands that you can take your pick from as we ride on board with, you know, Kelly Greenhoe. Well, again, another. When you think of it, out of the top 10, okay, 20% occupied by Mercedes, 30% occupied by BMW, 10% occupied by Ford in the Mustang. Kyle Mavis is really doing a pretty good job. I mean, was leading the midfield Larry's up until the pit stops when Zach Rubin decided to get the better of him, and 40% of the cars are Porsches. So you've got a nice little bit of a mixture, and they do say, Chris, that variety is the spice of life, especially when you look at sports car racing, how healthy in real life how things are. I think there's like 11 manufacturers that are going to be involved in the World Endurance Championship in 2026, which is, and that's like in the LMDHs, which are the effectively the World Endurance Championship equivalents of the GTPs over in the WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. You know, sports cars have really had a reinvigoration of just so many major automotive players coming in and saying, okay, we want to be part and parcel of this. And when you've got these cars battling so hard over these tracks that we've got over this 12-week calendar, it's a great 12-week calendar, and it's going to really showcase. And don't worry, Perfect Jen, there's only one pit stop, and Michael nailed it. He has absolutely nailed it. He's checking out at the moment, because having a lead of 3.9 seconds here at Monza is like thinking, okay, now I can breathe a little sigh of relief.
Yeah, for sure. Michael Brock has really been pretty flawless here. Lemke led a little bit early. Brock got around him, and he is just, he's shown no mistakes here so far. We haven't seen him get off the track anywhere. Really, Lemke had that one little slowdown where he ended up cutting the chicane and had to slow down. That's really what dropped him back about 3 seconds here. But Brock has extended his lead out by about a second and a half since that last pit stop as well. We got 5 minutes left to go here. This is Brock's race. As we saw last week, was DJ's race to win. Now it is up to Michael Brock to just bring this thing home, stay out in front in that 421 BMW. He's got Lemke back there, but I think Brock is going to come through here with about, just a little under 5 minutes left to go.
Yeah, Zach Rubin really trying to put the frighteners on Brian Zinn to be the leading Porsche come the checkered flag as we ride on board with the number 33, the leader in the midfield Larry's division here tonight for round 2 out of the 12-week Apex, this iRacing series for GT4s. Don't forget, if you want to get a discount with our friends over at the Apex Sim Racing shop, use the code Racer Nexus on all purchases to get your 5% discount. A big thank you to our good friends at TrackCams22, providing all the wonderful camera shots that we're getting here on the Racer Nexus broadcast. Of course, we'll be back here, same place, same time next week, and right up the way until March 3rd to conclude this season of GT4 Tuesdays with the Apex this iRacing League. But Kyle Mavis again deep on the brakes, trying to close that gap to Kent Kruger in the BMW in the 0.39 for 5th overall. But more importantly, Kent Kruger is the roadblock that Mavis needs to get through to try and challenge Zach Rubin for the lead in the midfield Larry's division. But we are going to go on to what will be our penultimate lap of this race as Michael Brock crosses the line to complete lap number 21 of this race. These drivers now making their way out of turn number 11, and you can see that Zach Rubin keeping in the wheel tracks of Brian Zinn, and Mavis trying to do the same with Kruger, about a second and a half back behind the two battling 718 Cayman GT4s in front of them. Headlights now on Ken Kruger's car, the number 039 BMW. And it is going to be the case of how close things will be. Derek Tyndall has been on a little bit of a charge so far. He's up now into 17th, and he's just getting through on the inside of the Ford Mustang of Sean Guru as they're getting through into, I think that is going to be Parabolica Alboreto, the 11th and final corner. The BMW has the inside line in comparison with the Mustang, but Guru's got a nose ahead in the Mustang at the moment as they're going to go toe-to-toe, side-by-side across the stripe. And it is Guru by a whisker, probably by the end of the front splitter on the front balance of that car. But who is going to be the braver on the brakes? It looks to be that Tyndall's got the inside line, but Guru round the outside. Bunny hops over the sausage curbs, loses a little bit of traction on throttle application, but it's not going to be enough as Zach Rubin has got the move done on Brian Zinn. Zach Rubin now up to P3 overall, but here comes Brian Zinn coming back at him as they go through into Ascari. The two were side by side, and can Rubin keep it round the outside of him? He does, going through out of Ascari. This time around, the white flag will be out. Michael Brock just about 4 miles away from closing out his opening win of the GT4 Tuesdays series. And it is going to be white flag this time here at the Temple of Speed, the Autodromo Nazionale Monza. White flag in the air. Michael Brock now powering his way in the 421 BMW M4 GT4. And he's got a lead of 3.6 seconds over Brian Lemke. The battle for P3 still rages on as Tyndall and Guru still side by side out of Seraglio underneath the bridge into Ascari. And Tyndall gets his nose ahead in the BMW. He was in the Mustang last time out at Road Atlanta, but he's got round the outside. That's a great move from Derek Tyndall after being T-boned on the right-hand side of that BMW. He has come back kicking and screaming, and he's now up into 16th position. And that, more importantly, is going to be P11. But we are coming down to the final few moments of this race, and still Zinn and Rubin side by side, wheel to wheel, in towards Della Roggia. Kent Kruger with his headlights ablaze into the inside of Rubin, into the first part of Della Roggia, but Rubin to the outside. He gets the job done, but here comes Zinn with the overspeed on the crisscross out of the corner, and Zach Rubin now loses out. Kent Kruger's right there, so is Kyle Mavis. Oziskilu in the meantime has lost position to Kelly Greenhoe and now has got a yellow flag by his name on the timing tower, and Zach Rubin dives to the inside of the first Lesmo on Brian Zinn. This is absolutely brilliant stuff as we're coming down towards the final few corners of this race. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and Zinn to the inside of Ascari, but meantime we've hit 0 on the timer. But look, Rubin just dropped it through Ascari. Michael Brock, in the meantime, is powering his way to victory. 3 wide coming out of Ascari, but let's concentrate on the man at the moment. It's been a perfect run from the outside of the front row. He timed the pit stop to perfection, and here at the Temple of Speed, it's going to be victory to Michael Brock in the 421 by 2.8 seconds. And Brian Lemke, with that second place finish, I think will take the standings lead in the Pro Division. But Zach Rubin on debut here in the number 33 Porsche rounds out the overall roster, but wins the midfield Larry's classification. Kyle Mavis takes 4th, Kent Kruger 5th, Brian Zinn in 6th position. How's about them apples, folks?
What a fantastic move by Rubin to get up into that 3rd overall and to take the MPL. mid-pack Larry's win here today at Monza. We saw so much side-by-side racing today, Alex. I thought we were watching NASCAR for a little bit.
That's the thing about Monza. It has a allure all its own. It is one of those tracks that needs to be respected, but when you make a move like that, it just goes to show. And we're going to have a look here. Michael Brock, is he going to give it? Come on, Michael, give us the 11s. Give us the burnout, buddy, please. Just no, not going to get it. Damn. But I mean, this is what we wanted to see. So you got Zin to the inside of Ruben. Now this is on the last lap. Let's not forget Zin is going to run a little bit deep. Look, he runs deep, and there goes Ruben straight through. And Brian Zinn was just a victim of his own possibility there. If he wasn't so deep into the corner, he would not have lost out to Zach Rubin. He wouldn't have lost out to Kyle Kruger or Kyle Mavis. And I have to say, Mavis and, for me, the drivers of the evening, I mean, Michael Brock, yes, you can put him up there. But I would have to say that Zach Rubin and Kyle Mavis, with the mid-pack, with our mid-pack Larrys, both did a really, really, really good job. But here is your overall podium. Michael Brock takes the win. Brian Lemke takes P2. And Zach Rubin not only wins the mid-pack Larry's division, but takes an overall P3, having started on the outside of row number 4. Now it's time for our post-race interview show. And I think, without further ado, let's try and bring in our race winner. Michael Brock, you have just won an absolutely perfect race at Monza. Well done, my man.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
It's very different to what happened last week at Road Atlanta, but you changed cars. You went from the Porsche, you went to the BMW. Pit stop was perfect, and you got the job done. Talk to us about your strategy for how you wanted to play it for the race.
Yeah, so the start went pretty good. So it was just two of us, I think 2 or 3 of us that kind of pulled ahead a little bit. And then it was kind of me and Brian there for a while. And I was actually fine if Brian was in front or if I was in back. If I was in behind, I was probably just going to try to save fuel and undercut him in the pits. But I found an opportunity to pass him, so I just kind of took that. Yeah, it ended up working out really well. I think out of the pits, he had kind of a bobble or something like that, so I kind of gained and got him out of my draft.
Yeah, I think it was a 10th. You beat him. So you got away from your pit box about a 10th quicker than. Well, no, it was about 5.5 tenths of a second. But when you saw that the lead was like about 2.5, 3 seconds,
yeah,
it sort of gave you that comfortable window, didn't it?
It did, yeah. It relaxed a little bit. But you got to be careful though, because like you kind of get in like a rhythm, and then you start slowing down, and you start making mistakes. So, yeah, this track's really tricky. It's kind of like tons of straightaways, and then these like kind of very kind of crazy hairpins where you got to just kind of take tons of curb, so your car gets unsettled. So it's all of those hairpins are really risky. So, yeah, it's a tough one.
Well, also the fact is you got the fastest lap of the race. You were the only driver out the entire field that did a sub 1 minute 56. So 1:55.957 was your fastest recorded lap.
Nice, I'll take it, and probably no draft.
And no draft as well. Yeah, it's especially that. But that just goes to show that with the BMW being the all-rounder that it is. I mean, is it a car that you're planning to stick to for Watkins Glen when we return in 7 days? I know we've got no respite between Christmas and New Year here at Apex. Have we?
Yeah. I think like for the really like long straightaway tracks, the Beamer and the Mustang are hard to beat. So yeah, I think one of those two is probably your best. I don't know what like format the Watkins is, just regular or not, but yeah, I bet one of those two would be pretty strong there.
Well, Michael, congratulations on the win tonight. Well done. A great win here at the Temple of Speed. Before we let you go, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, my wife Jen, she's watching right now. Love you, hon, and and everyone else putting the broadcast on. And yeah, I'll be back next week.
Brilliant. Michael, well done on the W tonight, and we'll see you next week, December 30th, Watkins Glen. And from us here at Racer Nexus, we're wishing you and Jen and the rest of your family a very happy holiday season.
All right, thanks, man. Take care.
So big thank you there to Michael Brock, our race winner. Let's bring in our runner-up, who, by my provisional calculations, is our new pro standings leader, Brian Lemke. Welcome in. It was close between you and Michael here tonight at Monza, wasn't it?
Yeah, you ever make plans and you get about 60% of the way through it and they all fall apart? I just wanted to stay behind them. I wanted to get a nice good gap, hopefully over, third, fourth, whoever was behind us. And then I figured after the pit stops we could battle it out. And once you know it, I blow the pit stop exit. I get it off track, a slow down, and off he goes. I can't catch him again. But man, I had a good plan going. I just couldn't pull it off at the end. But hats off to Michael. He was fast. He was flying, and that was a good win. And it was a lot of fun trying to chase him down there at the end. I just didn't have enough.
Well, still, nevertheless, along with your 18 points you pick up for P2, you also got a point for pole position. And that's going to effectively put you at the top of the standings, because obviously no DJ tonight, no stand tonight. So, but Michael definitely showed that he's not one to trifle with in this series, isn't he?
Oh yeah, he is super fast and a lot of fun to race around. And oh yeah, he's going to be a contender all season, no question about it. Super excited to have him around. It makes the racing fun when you got a lot of fast guys pushing you to go even faster. So super happy he's on board, and it's been a lot of fun. And I don't doubt at the end of the season it might come down to a last race battle. I hope it'd be pretty fun.
And that's what we want at the end of the day. We want to have a battle, whether it's in the pros or the mid-pack Larrys, to go right down to the wire at Road America on March 3rd. But still, the journey to get there is going to be just as enjoyable, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. It always is, and it always it's close. I mean, a lot of these seasons come down to, bonus points plays a big role, and yeah, survival and the drop weeks, and we're gonna have probably rain, so you do not know what's gonna happen. A lot of things can happen between now and then, but it's certainly been fun so far. I'm looking forward to the rest of it.
Brilliant. Well, Brian, thanks for your time as always, buddy. Wishing you, first of all, a very Merry Christmas to you and the family. Before we let you go, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, Merry Christmas to you and all the Apex drivers and admins and everybody out there. I hope you guys all have a Merry Christmas, and we'll be back next Tuesday to do it all over again. So thank you.
Yeah, Brian, we'll see you at round 3, December 30th at Watkins Glen. Have a good one, buddy.
You as well. Thank you very much.
And looks like we've got a big thank you, first of all, to Brian Lemke, our runner-up in the Pro Division, but also our new Pro Division leader coming out of round 2 here at Monza. But we've got time for one more interview during our post-race interview show here on Racer Nexus for Apex This iRacing. Let's bring in Kyle Mavis. Kyle, good evening. What a close battle that was for the mid-pack Larry's victory between you and Zach. I mean, it was nip and tuck. We didn't really have an idea up here in the booth as to who was going to come out on top.
Yeah, luckily for me, this is a course I've done a lot of laps at. Felt pretty comfortable there, and this Mustang GT4 just really eats the curbs through those chicanes. So was able to tuck in behind some of the pro guys there, do a little bit of lifting coast, save some fuel, cut me back just a little bit of my pit time. Actually ended up with about a whole nother lap, so I could have cut back even further. But obviously don't want to get in the middle of their race. It's one of the great things about this league is, having two, different groups out there run at the same time and, try and drive respectful. So unfortunately got to slow down there early on and had to let Kent by, kind of slid me back a little bit in the order, but was able to kind of hang back there and kind of bide my time there until the end and managed to slip up into fourth there on the very last lap.
Well, also in some respects, it's quite funny that the respective people in both divisions that have finished P2 effectively become our respective championship leaders. So I think you're now heading up the mid-pack Larrys, heading into Christmas Day in a couple of days' time, and then when we head to Watkins Glen, on December 30th for round 3 of the season. I mean, Zach really did showcase a lot of good racecraft in that Porsche. Let's be honest here.
Oh no, absolutely no, and trying to run it clean, run it tight. A little upset I slipped a little bit off and took a few extra incident points that I didn't want to have, but obviously great driver. Always love the competition. It's one of the reasons I keep coming back to this league week in and week out. Is quality of driving at the front of the pack is it's hard to pass.
Well, Kyle, well done on your second place finish. Provisionally new mid-pack Larry's series leader heading into week 3 next time out at Watkins Glen. Before we let you go, first of all, very Merry Christmas from us here, myself, Chris, and all the team here at Racer Nexus, to you and the family. Who do you want to give a shout out to before we let you go?
I just want to give a shout out to my wife and daughter who let me spend hours strapped into this VR headset doing the things I love for fun. And again, to the awesome league here that these guys have put together and everything that they've put together, the scoring, everything else is just top notch. So appreciate you guys doing the broadcast for us. It's been fantastic. Takes it up a notch. I know my daughter gets a good laugh watching the YouTube videos and hearing my name. So it's always good fun for us.
Brilliant. Kyle, thanks so much for your time, buddy. We'll see you next week at Watkins Glen for round 3.
Sounds great. Thanks, guys.
And that really wraps up our post-race interview show. Chris, for the folks at home, obviously we've got the results on their screen, but what a race we've had here. It was madness at Monza for the first lap, but then once everything had calmed down a little bit, we got a really, really good sense of how much effort and how much commitment these drivers put into this league here at Apex this for GT4 Tuesdays, week in, week out.
Well, you mentioned it earlier when we were given this opportunity to come cover this GT4 league. This is the first GT4 league I've been a part of, and the racing has just been exceptional. And I know a lot of it has to do with the quality of drivers here at Apex. Really enjoy these guys. I just cannot wait for the rest of the season. I know we go to Watkins Glen next week, and this has just been this schedule they put together for this season is just fantastic. I mean, I should go out there and get some practice because there's a bunch of these tracks that I really like to run on, but it's probably better I'm in the booth than trying to race with these guys. But just a lot of fun here at Monza, and I think we should come to Monza a little more often, Alex. I can hear you roll your Italian a little more.
Well, you'll be able to hear me when I do that in early May of next year when I go to Monza in real life, commentating on Porsche Sports Cup Suisse. But folks, just to give you a little bit of a reminder of the calendar. So after today, of course, everyone's going to get their fill of Christmas cheer over the holiday season. Of course, we'll be stepping away until we come back. Same place, same time next week. Watkins Glen is going to be the host of round 3, so we'll be a quarter of the way through GT4 Tuesdays with Apex this iRacing. Then January 6th, we'll be heading to Mid-Ohio for the first encounter in the new year. Then we'll be heading to the Ardennes Forest, the iconic Spa-Francorchamps, the host of the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa every year for the Intercontinental GT Challenge powered by Pirelli, and also is one of the rounds of the GT World Challenge powered by AWS, and of course the home of the Belgian Grand Prix. Sebring hosts the next round after that, which will be halfway, so that will be January 20th. Long Beach, January 27th. Then first week of February, we head to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, and then VIR February 10th. WeatherTech Raceway at Laguna Seca, February 17th. Mount Panorama, Bathurst in New South Wales, Australia. On February 24th will be the penultimate round of the season. And then America's National Park of Speed will be hosting the season finale for Apex this GT4 Tuesdays right here live and uninterrupted on Racer Nexus on March the 3rd. You've been in the company of Alex Goldschmidt and Chris Murphy. Don't forget, a big thank you to TrackCams. 22.com for the provision of our track cams here at Monza and for all our relative broadcasts. And also, if you want to get that cheeky little 5% discount at the Apex Sim Racing shop on all purchases on checkout, use the code RACERNEXUS. That's Racer Nexus, all lowercase, all one complete word. So from myself, Alex Goldschmidt, and from Chris Murphy here on Racer Nexus, we look forward to seeing you next week for round 3 of the Apex This iRacing League GT4 Tuesdays. And until next time, we wish you all a very, very Merry Christmas. And as always, race hard, race fair, and just like here at Monza, if in doubt, you better go flat out. We'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in. Good night for now.